Hey guys, Jordan here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about giving yourself a raise as a real estate photographer. So let's get into it. All right, so if you're new to my channel, I talk about real estate photography. So if that's a topic you're interested in, make sure to subscribe. In this video, I'm going to be talking about giving yourself a raise and actually doing so without raising your prices. Obviously, if you're doing your thing how you've always done it, you can obviously increase your prices and then potentially you might give yourself a raise, or you might run off some customers and then give yourself a demotion or a lower, not a raise, I guess. I don't know what the word is, but anyways, in my thoughts is this. So the way you give yourself a raise is by being more efficient, right? Efficiency is the key. So if you're out, if you spend on average 2 hours at a property and then 2 hours editing, that's 4 hours. So if you charge $100, you're making $25 an hour. But if you can work on your process and procedure, or the way you go about shooting, the way you go about editing, if you reduce that time, say you cut it in half, say now I'm at a property shooting for an hour and now I'm editing for an hour because I've spent a lot of time refining. Okay, what are those things that I do all the time? Can I create a preset to make my process faster? How can I get to that end result that I'm looking at faster with presets or with camera settings, or by changing how I light the property when I'm out at the property or shooting, right? What are the camera settings that I'm using? Is it necessary to shoot brackets or shoot flambient? Can I get away with shooting this way? Anyways, it's up to you to figure out what those changes are that need to be. But back to my example, imagine, becoming more efficient and going from 2 hours to 1, and then 2 hours to 1 on the editing. So instead of spending 4 hours per property, you're only spending 2. And what would that be? If you're charging $100, that's $50 an hour. However you get to that end result, the customer is paying you for a deliverable, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter if you spend 10 hours, 20 hours. They have that same expectation at the finish line. They want high quality photos delivered by you on time, right? So everything before that, what tools you use, how you shoot, what you do, all of that kind of stuff really does matter, and it really can significantly impact your business. And I think I go over in depth quite a bit in my courses of my thought process. And I think going over how other people think, not necessarily that you have to implement, but I think it's important to get some ideas and maybe change your way of thinking about how you're viewing things, right? Because not only is it an efficiency thing, right? You also got to look at it, what's your long-term goals? So if I'm spending, or if my shooting process is so complex I can't teach anybody, not only, okay, maybe you simplify it. So simplified version of how you're shooting goes from 2 hours to 1 hour. But not only did you eliminate some of the variables that are really hard to manage, it's easier to train somebody how to shoot a property in 1 hour versus how you shot the property in 2 hours. And the same thing applies with how you're editing, right? It's probably easier, once you get your processes down and efficient, to teach somebody how to edit more efficient than more complex and more perfection. I think, and I think one thing that real estate photographers get hung up on is perfectionism. They expect perfection. Now, I think you might be able to produce a particular result, but I think if you can get somebody else to help you produce a result 80% of what you're trying to create, I think that would be a win in your book versus you doing it at 100%, right? So if you could have 5 people producing 80% versus one person doing 100%, you're going to be able to do so much more in the grand scheme of things. So anyways, those are some of my thoughts on how to give yourself a raise as a real estate photographer. If you got value, make sure to hit the like button, and we'll see you guys on the next one.